Before any switch could bring light, before any machine could hum to life, there existed a world already in motion, a world where nothing was instant, yet everything worked, not by wires, but by systems, invisible systems built on nature, movement, and human effort. At the first hint of light, life began, not by alarm, but by rhythm. The sky itself was the signal. As sunlight stretched across fields and rooftops, doors opened, tools were lifted, and the day's work quietly unfolded. Time wasn't something you checked. It was something you observed. Shadows moved, and with them, the structure of the day. Beyond the homes, across vast open land, another system was already at work. Fields, carefully divided, patiently maintained, and deeply understood. The soil wasn't just a lard. It was a living resource. Farmers guided wooden plows through the earth, often pulled by animals whose strength powered entire harvests. Water didn't arrive by command. It traveled through channels carved into the land, through systems that relied on gravity, slope, and flow. In some places, great wooden wheels turned slowly beside rivers, lifting water upward, drop by drop, feeding fields that would later feed entire communities. Nothing here was accidental. Every seed planted followed a cycle. Every harvest followed timing learned over generations. And when that harvest arrived, the work didn't end. It transformed. Grain became flour, not by machines hidden in walls, but by stone grinding against stone. Massive millstones turned by water or wind, converting raw crops into something usable. Nearby, fires were already burning, controlled, maintained, essential. Food was prepared over open flames inside clay ovens within heavy metal pots that absorbed and held heat. But food wasn't just made. It was protected, because once harvested, time began to work against it. So people learned to control time itself. Moisture was removed through drying. Salt pulled life out of bacteria. Smoke sealed and preserved. Underground, cool spaces held vegetables in still air. Every method was part of a larger system, a constant effort to extend survival. Meanwhile, movement never stopped. Paths carved into the land connected one place to another. Feet pressed into dirt roads. Wheels turned slowly under loaded carts. Animals carried weight across distances that stretched for days. And where land ended, water continued the journey. Rivers became highways. Boats drifted, guided by currents or pulled along banks. Farther still, sails caught the wind, transforming invisible air into forward motion. Direction wasn't guessed. It was calculated. The stars mapped the night. The sun guided the day. Movement itself was a system of observation, memory, and precision. At the center of this motion, trade emerged, not in silence, but in gathering. Markets filled open spaces with sound, exchange, and negotiation. Hands passed goods directly, grain for tools, cloth for food, metal for labor. Every object carried effort within it, because nothing was mass-produced. Everything was made, forged in fire by blacksmiths shaping metal with repeated strikes, woven by hands pulling threads through looms in careful patterns, cut, carved, assembled, piece by piece. Production wasn't hidden. It was visible, physical, and constant. And while goods moved and work continued, another system quietly maintained balance. Temperature, not controlled by devices, but by design. Walls built thick enough to resist heat. Openings placed to guide air through spaces. Shade used as protection. Fire used as warmth. Inside homes, heat gathered where it was needed. Outside, structures stood in ways that reduced exposure. Even clothing became part of the system. holding warmth or allowing air to pass. Nothing adjusted automatically. Everything was managed intentionally. Water, the most essential element, followed its own path, drawn from deep underground wells, carried by hand in containers that connected effort to necessity. In larger settlements, channels guided water over long distances. Structures were built to let gravity do the work. Flow was constant, but never taken for granted. Every drop required planning. Every source required protection. And once used, water needed to leave. Waste systems, simple but deliberate, directed it away, keeping living spaces usable. Inside the home, systems repeated themselves again. Clothes were cleaned through motion, scrubbed, rinsed, wrung by hand. Surfaces maintained with tools that relied on effort, not automation. Fireplaces needed feeding. Food needed preparation. Water needed carrying. Nothing maintained itself. Everything required participation. And beneath all of this, one truth remained constant. Energy was always present, just not in hidden forms. It came from muscles that worked without pause, from animals trained to pull, carry, and turn, from rivers that never stopped flowing, from wind that moved without being seen, and from mechanisms, simple yet powerful, that translated motion into function. A turning wheel grinding grain, a rotating shaft lifting water, a moving system driven entirely by natural force. This was not a world without structure. It was a world built on systems so precise. They didn't need electricity to function. Every part connected. Every action supported another. Agriculture fed production. Production supported trade. Trade required movement. Movement depended on natural forces. And all of it returned back to human effort. No single system stood alone. They overlapped. They supported. They depended, creating a continuous cycle that kept life moving forward. Before power flowed through wires, it flowed through everything else, through land, through water, through air, through hands, a complete world running without interruption. If you want to explore more hidden systems that shaped human life, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon.